Okay, I am going to try to talk you through how to make the gym bag. So, first of all, you have everything cut out of your pattern piece, and we should have everything marked. So you can take your pattern piece off, and you should have your markings on here on both sides. All right, so if I take my two pattern pieces apart, I have my markings on both pieces. And then I also have taken my pockets, and I've got a 1/4 inch line. I believe this might be an inch, and then this one is an inch. We're gonna set those off to the side for a while. So when we get to our instructions, we're actually on step 4. It says to set the machine to the longest stitch length, approximately 6 to 8 stitches per inch. When we sew on our sewing machine, there are about 12 inches per inch, 12 stitches per inch, and we want to make those longer because we're eventually going to be taking those out. So on my sewing machine here at school, I am going here. This is my stitch length line, and I'm going to my highest number. I don't know where your stitch length is on your machine. If you don't know, you may have to read the owner's manual, or you may have to Google it and look it up on YouTube. But we want the longest stitch. All right, the next thing, with right sides of the fabric together, stitch a 5/8 inch seam across the top notched edge. So when I want my right sides together, it means that my tracing is together on the inside. That's the inside of my sandwich. And it says my notched edge. So this is my notched edge. My notched edge is right here. This is my notch. So I'm going to take these and line them up and try to make them as close as I can get. And then I am going to put some pins in, and I want to put my pins in this way so that I can take them out as I get to them on the sewing machine. So I'm just going to keep lining this up. Both of my edges should be even. Put another pin in. This fabric is pretty difficult to pin, but it will make it a more sturdy bag, I would guess. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So I have that pinned together. My tracing is on the inside. On the sewing machine, right underneath where the needle is, there are different, I would call them fractions. I don't know if I can get a good look at it. Different fractions, and those are different seam allowances. On this machine, I'm going to go to the biggest one, which says 6/8. I know that's a little bigger than the 5/8. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it is a 6/8. So what I mean by that is I'm going to line up this straight line, this straight edge that I just pinned. I'm going to line it up, and I want the edge of my fabric at the 6/8 line. The edge of my fabric is there. And then I'm going to put down my presser foot. Now I'm sewing a straight line all the way down to the end. So I'm going to start, I'm going to reverse a few stitches. Now you can either sew over your pins, or you can take them out as you get to them. I'm watching here so that I'm following that 6/8 line. I was always taught to sew over my pins, but however, I know there are people who take them out. So if you remove them before you get to it, just do that. Okay, and I'm just still following my 6/8. I want a really nice, even stitch, an even line. All right, so we're going to take that out. We're going to cut it. Cut the threads. It's nice to have a little trash can close to you. And take out your pins. And then you just want to look at your stitching. And hopefully you have a nice, even line. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our ironing board and an iron, and we're going to press this open. So I will go get that ready. All right, I've come over to my ironing board. I just have one that sits on the tabletop like that. And I have my iron. Okay, now on the iron, this is my, get it so you can see it. This is my temperature gauge. Okay, I can't go too hot because this is kind of plasticky and I don't want it to melt. So I am going to turn this to synthetics, which means, you know, just kind of man-made fabrics. They're nothing that is natural. Synthetics means it's man-made, and so that's going to be warm, but not too warm that it's going to melt my fabric. So I need to give it a little while to warm up. I don't need any water in my iron. If you have water in there, it's fine, but I don't need any water in my iron. If you don't have an iron, you are going to have to just really press this down. Like maybe you could even set some books on it for a while to hold it down flat. We're going to accomplish that with the iron. All right, so what I'm going to do is take my iron and that seam that I just sewn, I want to make sure I can iron that nice and flat. Now when you're ironing, place for too long because then you could end up with some scorched areas. The other thing I would suggest is that you turn it over. Lay it all nice and flat. And then I would also iron this side because we're really concentrating on this seam here. The seam has to be nice and flat. Okay, if your fabric is acting funny, if it's sticky, turn your iron down. All right, so we've got our zipper. Here's our zipper pull. And we've got our other end. We have to lay that with the zipper pull down, and we want to try to center it on our seam as much as we can. I like to lift, actually I'll do it on this side. I like to lay it on the seam. And then I like to lift up and make sure that my zipper is right on the center. If it's there, then we want to take a pin. Be great if you could pin through all the layers, but I know that it is very tough. Make sure that that stays center. Put a pin on this side. Okay, then I'm going to go a little more up the zipper. Put another pin in. And I'm going to do that all the way to the other end. If you aren't going straight, just take out your pins and fix it. We do want our zipper to be directly over the seam. Now, when I get to my zipper pull, I am just going to pin one side down because that zipper pull is kind of a pain. It gets in the way. But basically, this is what you want. You can put a few more pins to hold your zipper into place. But you are going to have lots of pins to deal with in the future. Okay, so that is our next step for sewing on the zipper. What I'm going to suggest on your sewing machine is you are going to need a zipper foot. A zipper foot is, if you can see this, it allows you to sew next to a zipper, and when we're sewing, it'll actually be like this so that I can get next to that zipper, the teeth of the zipper. So you will need to find a zipper presser foot. There should be some other ones that came with your machine. You may need to look up online which one is the zipper foot, and then also you're going to need to learn how to change the presser foot. So on this one, there's a little button behind here that I'm going to push. My zipper foot falls off. I'm going to set that over to the side. I don't want to lose that. I need that later. And then for my machine, I line up one of those bars underneath it, bring my presser foot back down, line it up, and then it's on there. Yours might be different. Every machine is different. It's things you can YouTube. You can see if you have the owner's manual that goes with your machine, but you will need the zipper foot for putting the zipper on.